learning in 6-4 about fractions, percents, and decimals. It is something we have been exposed to in 6th grade, and we're going to re-expose ourselves this year in 7th. So, vocab word that you need to be super familiar with is the word percent. And a percent is a fraction that compares a number to 100. Okay, so it's part. It is part of 100. Okay, part of 100. Like when you get 100%, it means you got 100 out of 100. If you got 90%, it means you'd get like 90 out of 100. It works like that. It's comparing it to the whole, and the whole is 100. So, I want you to convert these percents into a fraction. Okay, into a fraction. Now again, a percent compares it to 100. So 88% would be 88 over 100. Now do you think I'm done?
No.
No. What do I need to do?
Simplify.
Simplify it.
44.
Now, I'm not sure what goes in it right away, but I do know they're both even, so I'm just going to half them both. So that turns into 44 over 50. Hey, those both are even. Everybody should be writing this down. Which is 22 out of 25. And now I'm looking like I'm done. Again, percent is part of 100. 100 is our whole. So we always just pretty much put the number we have over 100. Okay? Okay, looking at 120%. Write that as a fraction. What's going to go on top, class?
120.
Okay, I want everyone to be confident with this. What's going to go on top?
120.
120. And what goes on the bottom?
100.
100. Now, I have a improper fraction here. How many times does 100 go into 120?
1.
This turns into 1 and 20 over 100. Bless you. And then I can divide them both by 5, right?
20.
So that would equal 1 and 4 over 20. I can divide them both by 4, which is 1 and 1/5. Final answer. Now some of you might be able to jump to that a lot quicker. I like to go the easy way out. Okay, write the next one. Got 87.5%. So we got to turn that into converted is what we call it. Convert it into a fraction. What goes on top? 87.5. What goes on the bottom? 100. And I'm done. And I'm done because it's a decimal on top and I just don't want to deal with it. So I just call it done. Okay? When there's a decimal on top, I'm just going to call it done. All right, one of the other skills we're going to learn, aside from converting a percent to a fraction, is converting from fractions to decimals. And you're going to be so happy because usually in 6th grade you do the long way. I'm going to allow everybody to use a calculator here in 7th grade. We do top divided by bottom, so what that means is if I had 3/5, if you do top divided by bottom, how I hit that in my calculator is 3 divided by 5, which is 0.6. Now I'm hoping that you're loving the expectation for that because in comparison, before we would write it like this. 5 can't go into 3, so you add your decimal and placeholder 0, then 5 goes into 36 times. That's not too shabby, but when it starts going down a lot more, we're never big fans of that. I want you to practice converting the following fractions into a decimal. 1/3 to 2/3. I want you to convert 3/8.
What if it has a super long number?
7/12, and 4/5. Now, if you get something that's super long, the common thing to round to is the nearest hundredth spot. I'm going to call in students, and you're going to tell me what you're going to hit in the calculator, and then tell me what the answer is. So, Cody, 4/7. What does that turn into?
57143.
Okay, it's 0.57143. How about we only round to 2 spots, and that would be 0.57. How did you do that, Cody? What was your strategy?
4 divided by 7.
In the calculator, you just hit the first number, and then divide by the second number. Okay. 1/3. What is that, Aaliyah? 0.3 repeating. Tell me what you did in the calculator. In the calculator, you went 1 divided by 3. Perfect. 2/3. Brennan.
For 2/3?
Mm-hmm.
2 divided by 3.
Yep.
0.66.
0.6 repeat, and that's 2 divided by 3. These 1/3 and 2/3 are fractions that I really want you to get to know by heart. 3/8. What does 3/8, Kyle O, turn into?
0.57.
Point what?
57. Wait, no. 375.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Point
that's the wrong one.
3.375. Kyle, what did you do?
3 divided by 8.
You went in your calculator 3 divided by 8. Perfect. 7/12. What does that turn into, Jordan?
7/12 is 0.583.
0.583.
Repeating.
Oh, that whole pattern or the 3 repeats?
3 repeats.
The 3 repeats. Okay. And then tell me what you punched in.
7 divided by
7 divided by 12. 4/5 is another super popular and common fraction. Madison. 0.8. You got 80% if you got 1 wrong out of 5. And what did you punch into your calculator? 4 divided by 5. Perfect. Next concept we're going to learn is converting from a decimal to a fraction. And how we convert from a decimal to a fraction, we say it, we write it, and then we reduce it. It's the biggest thing here is reducing it. The other way that I write it, or how I convert, is I do whatever the number is over the place value it holds. So like this is a 4, the number is 4, and the place value is tenths. So that is 4/10. You can also do it by saying it. The 0.4 is 4/10, so you can write it like that, and then convert it. They're both even, 2 goes into both of them, so that turns into 2/5. So something that you need to be confident with this is place values. So if, and I'm not going to tell you, you know if you need help with this or not. But if you need help with the place values, the most typical place values go to the thousands. You won't really be like in the 10,000s, but you need to know that this is the tenths. That means it would be on the 10 would be on the denominator. Write it down if you need to. This is the hundredths. That means 100 would be on the denom, and this is the thousands. Now you know, I want you to be self-aware if you need to write that down or not. Some of you know it by heart, some of you, you know, it just takes a little thinking. And there's nothing wrong with that. 0.36, so I go to 2 decimal spots, that's the tens, hundredths. So my 100 is my denom, and this 36 just goes on top, right? Divide them both by 2. 18 over 50. Divide them both by 2. 9/25. And now, do you think, what if you did this on a test? Would I count it?
No.
No, I'm so mean. I would say, hey, you didn't simplify that. You need to simplify that. I'd probably take half that. Because the skill I'm really assessing you on, do you know how to convert it to a fraction? Okay, 5.4, mixed numbers. Do we know how to do that?
Yes.
Abby, what does that turn into?
5 and 2/8.
Simplified down, but we say we got a 5 whole, this is our whole, and then we have this decimal, which is 4/10, 4/10. Okay, because that's the 10th spot. There's one decimal, which tells us we're at the 10th spot, and then this number just goes on the top. So if it's a whole, you just kind of keep the whole on the outside. Simplify down into 4 into this. That's a concept you're going to be having to convert to today. Next concept you have to convert to is going from a percent to a decimal. All right, when we convert between percents to decimals, we want to move the decimal 2 spots to the left. So when it always, if it's not given to us like it is here, we always have that unspoken decimal at the end. Okay, always. Because it's a whole number. Yep. So any whole number can be written, like if I write my daughter's age, 11, I can get all technical and say she's 11.0. My daughter is 11.0. Okay? So, if we convert here, we move 65, 2 spots to the left, and we are given 0.65. So 65% as a decimal is 0.65. 7.4%, I move the decimal 1 spot. Now I need to move it another spot. What's my strategy?
0.
Placeholder 0. Move it another spot and I get 0.074. Now the percent symbol is disappeared. It's gone forever, okay? When you convert it, I will count wrong if you write 0.074% because you are going from a percent to a decimal, only a decimal, not a percent. Okay, 3%, we got the decimal right here. I need to move 1 spot. What do? I need to move another. Yep, add a placeholder 0, and this turns into 0.03. 28.5, scoot it 1, scoot it 2. This turns into 0.285. 150%, scoot it 2 spots, scoot it 1, scoot it 2. I'm right in between the 1.5, so it's just 1.5. Put the 0 at the end, it's equivalent. It does not matter. Right, the next concept we're learning about in 6.4 is converting from a decimal to a percent. So our goal is to move the decimal 2 places to the right. 2 places to the right. So 0.32 turns into, scoot it 2 over, 32%. 0.07, scoot it over, is 7%. 0.282, scoot it 2, 1 and 2, 28.2%. That's another skill you really need to feel confident with. So let's just kind of reflect for a minute. We converted from a fraction to a decimal, top divided by bottom in the calculator. We converted from a percent to a fraction. A percent is part of 100, right? What's the other concept we did? Decimal to what? Decimal to fraction, number over place value. And then, oh my goodness, decimals to percents. What was the last page? Percents to decimals. My goodness, we are doing a lot. And percents to fraction, but we already did that in the front page. So I think I'm just going to quickly recover. 36, it's part of 100, right? So this would turn into 36 over 100. Simplify it. 56 over 100. Simplify it.